are there limitations on Rails version, EY stack version? I think, should we have Daniel? Would you like to take this one?
Sure. Thanks. Actually, no, there is no limitations either in the Ruby on Rails side or any part of the engine yard stack. Matter of fact, you can use DevSpaces as well to develop your own chef recipes and then push from the DevSpace and deploy them on your engine yard cloud environment. So yeah, no limitations altogether for anything related to Rails, stacks, databases, or anything that will end up running on an engine yard environment.
Yeah. So just to give you a little bit of a preview under the hood, basically your dev environment is a Docker container. Now that Docker container, we have a default one that gets kicked up, which has support for about 25 languages out of the box. So even if your environment was not containerized, and you did not have a standard Docker container to do this, you would start from scratch where, let's say you had a machine with 25 languages and the basics installed on it. But you absolutely could customize it to whatever extent you wanted. SLI, for example, if you can bring up, Pawan, that Docker, can we just bring up the SLI config file?
Yeah.
So right at the top of it, there is a gitpod.docker file that it refers to as its base template or the base image. And if you go to the gitpod.docker file, it's a custom Docker file where there are very specific things that this particular product needs that you won't find anywhere else at all. So we just pointed to this Docker file, and DevSpaces knows to build that container and use that as the base image for your IDE. And anytime you change your Docker file, DevSpaces will be cognizant of the change, and it will then launch the updated Docker container and then inject all the other, IDE related stuff onto that container before making it available to you in the browser. So, and all of that still happens in seconds, which is so unbelievable. So as your teams start changing the dependencies, the environment variables, you are still guaranteed a clean development environment every single time in a matter of seconds, no matter how complex it gets.
And this is so much easier than, okay, someone has to become the Docker Compose guru of the group and deal with support for all, that's non-trivial. I mean, it's not a trivial thing to set up. And so by having this all happening in the background, including, like I said, the test databases, and then having it instantiated and run for you and in your browser in a few seconds, it's a really powerful concept.
Yeah. By the way, one of the things that we will showcase shortly, and I'm going to have Daniel, come in just a bit to kind of showcase, is how engineered customers can leverage DevSpaces to start all of their development work and directly push all of their deployments over to both EYC and UIK.